Welcome to the Roads We've Traveled podcast, episode 20. My name is AJ Pelletier, and thank you guys for tuning in and subscribing and all that great stuff. I've got a guest today who is a photographer and musician here in Connecticut, Mr. Dave Schick. What's going on, Dave? How are you?
I'm doing good today, AJ. How are you?
I'm good. You know, it's Sunday. It's, supposed to be relaxing for me, but it's not. I'm usually running errands and cleaning and podcast stuff. So there's no rest for the wicked for me. So what about you? What are you up to today?
Grocery shopping. I do it every Sunday, and today is podcast day, apparently. But most times on Sundays, it's just trying to prepare the house for the next week, really. I'm cleaning up stuff, getting some things organized, doing some laundry, and then, waiting for the rest of the week coming Monday.
Yeah. Yep, I hear you. So it's pretty much my Sundays every week too. So, so how you doing during the pandemic?
Not bad. The kids were out of school March 12th, so that was definitely an interesting, hurdle and burden to that we were involved in. I'm a technical writer by day, so it's still in the office until mid-April, and then I've been home since then, and there really is no difference being in the office vice being at home. It's exactly the same work. It's on a computer. It's all digital, so I'm like, this is actually kind of great. The only downside is that all the days merge together.
Yeah.
So, last week feels the same as this week, feels the same as what it's going to feel like next week too.
Yeah.
The only difference is what it says on the calendar, and even then, is it really that important?
I hear you. A lot of my friends have been going through the same thing too. But a lot of them are kind of like cautious about letting their kids go back to school now that schools are reopening here in Connecticut. But especially my sister. My sister's not really too thrilled about that. I think she's going to be homeschooling her kids for a little while longer.
Yeah, my kids are going to be full distance learning for the first start of school. I mean, our particular area, southeastern Connecticut, we weren't hit as hard as anybody else as far as, number of cases or number of deaths or anything like that. But also we had, almost instantaneous mitigation strategies in place as far as closing down schools and social distancing, mask usage, and things like that. And it's still ongoing. And those are the types of things that are making it be not so terrible, I guess.
Yeah.
So with the school opening up, I'm on one of the focus group for my daughter's school. And so the input from the community has helped the school be able to figure out a plan going forward. So it's not the same thing as it was in the spring, where it was everybody's dumped in this huge pot of, education. Let's try to figure it out. This particular go around, they have a little bit more of a structured plan. But still, my members of my family would be considered high risk if they were, to come down with COVID. So it's much better to just, let's just do some status as normal, and just let the kids learn from home. As long as there's going to be a more structured environment now than there was in the spring.
Right.
But yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be different. It's going to be strange, but I think the learning can still take place. They're definitely learning now as well. Ever since March, they every day is a school day, really. I mean, even when you're our age, you're always learning something new.
This is true.
As a photographer, as a musician, there's never a day that goes by that I'm not learning a new piece of talent or skill, or a new editing technique, or downloading some new software to try. There's always something there, regardless if it's history, math, whatever. There's always something to learn.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm constantly like in my spare time learning whatever I can between, because I do video editing. I do a lot of graphic design work and Photoshop and stuff like that too. So I'm constantly learning new stuff and techniques and stuff like that every single day. And talking to people, learning more about them, and a lot of other stuff too. So I definitely hear you. I'm always learning myself. So
Oh
um,
yeah.
how's work been? I know you said you're working from home and everything, and you're a writer. Well, can you explain a little bit about your job, what you do for your writing?
I'm a I've been a certified airframe and power plant technician for 15 years, which means that I went to a technical school in Bedford, Massachusetts called East Coast Aerotech,
Okay.
and it was a 15-month crash course in aviation maintenance. So
Oh.
we learned everything from welding and sheet metal and how engines work and the equations that tell you how engines operate and things like that, or not just engines but jet engines. So we learned reciprocating engines, jet engines, and it's a 15-month crash course to after the school completes, you take your tests with your designated mechanic examiner, and they're certified by the FAA to administer the test. If you pass the test 70% or above, then you pay your fee and you have your certificate, which is not a license, it's a certificate. In order to work in the field, you have enough knowledge
Mm.
to work in the field. And then from there, you're either working commercial aviation or military aviation. And that's what it is. I worked on from 2009, I want to say, maybe six. I don't remember what year. Uh, but I worked on Chinooks and Blackhawks as
Oh
a
wow.
contractor. Yeah, for 7 years. Very, very intense, super dangerous.
Mm.
Yeah, there was a couple different incidences where there could have been some loss of life, or actually there was one incident where a guy that got severely, injured on the airfield. But yeah, it was some pretty intense stuff. Lots and lots of. I mean, aviation maintenance it's a different ballpark. It's completely different from any other job you can possibly do.
Mm.
Because I mean, you're dealing with, mathematically, Chinooks aren't supposed to fly because of, if you look at the math for it, they shouldn't be able to lift off the ground, yet they do.
Mm.
And when you're on the tail and you're 18 feet up in the air on the work platform and you're putting rotor blades on, you're like, man, I hope I don't misstep. I do not want to fall off this bird.
Mm.
But I went from there to doing some technical writing, and so I work at a company in West Street, Rhode Island, and we work with a whole bunch of different aviation companies. So we've got contracts with Sikorsky
Okay.
when they were part of UTC, but now they're part of Lockheed Martin. So we still the same Sikorsky, but now
Mm.
they owned by a different parent company.
Yeah.
Right, I was attached to them originally, and now for the last couple of years, I've actually been working with the Pratt and Whitney group. So we take the engineering data that's given to us by the Pratt and Whitney engineering team, and we turn it into technical procedures.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, I work my day job technically. I work nights, but I'm a CNC operator, and I do a lot of manufacturing, mainly with healthcare, but we do some aerospace parts, nothing major. But business has been really slow lately due to the pandemic.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
definitely.
yeah, and it's not just us; it's everywhere. You know what I mean? It's hard. They're having a hard time trying to get new work in and everything like that. But I definitely do like the aviation part of it whenever we get to work on stuff like that too. I mean, I'm not a big like aviation guy, but I mean, like I do find some of the stuff a little bit interesting. I actually started listening to a podcast that deals with aviation disasters and like, learning the ins and outs about like maintaining planes and stuff like that, like the amount of pressure whenever they're in the air that they have to maintain structure or whatever, because there's so much cabin pressure and air pressure and stuff like that from traveling so fast that these things have to constantly be maintained. So
Oh yeah.
learning all that, and then hearing what you're saying, I'm like, oh, okay, like, yeah, that's really interesting. And then like hearing some of the disasters that have happened from not maintaining, I'm like, oh my God, like, It's so crazy. I hate flying. Absolutely hate flying. Like I hate heights. And if I have to fly, I will. But I mean, like I usually get a little freaked out every single time from takeoff. After takeoff, I'm okay, but then it's taking off and landing. I'm just like
Well,
gripping my seat and stuff. So
every every not to further your anticipation for flying, but every single landing of an aircraft is a controlled
yeah,
crash.
yeah, yep, pretty
that's
much.
just that's just how it works. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just they're descending to the ground,
Hmm.
usually very rapidly, but they're controlling their descent to the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, now on fixed wing is a little different, because on fixed wing, if your engine's put out, you can glide for a very long time
Yeah.
before you actually run out of forward airspeed.
Yeah.
But on rotary ring, so a helicopter, if your engine's cut out, yeah, you're falling, you're
Yeah.
plummeting. You
Yep.
can auto rotate, which is as the helicopter falls. So these are your helicopter blades. They'll
Mhm.
spin because they're twisted.
Yeah.
They're twisted. So the air's going to hit, like the helicopters that fall off of trees.
Mhm.
It's the same concept. That spins to the ground. That's an auto rotation. Helicopters do the same thing, and they train for that. I know the military pilots, they train for that. They train for auto rotation type deals. But it's still a scary event, because
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're going straight down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to hit the ground somehow.
Yeah.
But with fixed wing, engine goes out, you can coast for a long time. And
Yeah.
sometimes they purposely will either turn back or turn off engines during testing, or even on not regular like flights with people, but sometimes cargo flights. Some airliners will throttle back the engines because they really don't need them to operate that hard.
Mm.
There's the closer you get to 100% efficiency for a turbine engine, the further away you get from how well it operates. It doesn't make any sense, but if you're at 100%, one, you'll never get to 100% efficiency. But with the way the thrust equation works, if you're approaching 100% efficiency, then you're you're continually accelerating as well, and
Okay.
you don't want to continue accelerate when you're 60,000 feet up, 30,000 feet up. You want to maintain your velocity.
Mm.
So you're going to throttle back your engines, because the air is a lot different up there, and sometimes it's too cold. You can get ice inside the engine.
That
it's
actually,
really,
yeah.
really wild.
Now that you mentioned that was one of the episodes too. The podcast I was listening to was called Black Box Down, and it's a production of a company I follow called Rooster Teeth, and they were talking about one. I forget the name of the plane, but something happened where there was ice in the fuel line somewhere, and they don't know how it got in there, but it was just enough where it was clogging up the fuel lines to the point where the engines were stalling out, and then the plane was coming down.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh
so
yeah.
it was, so they had ice in there for some reason. It was just like a little bit of moisture that froze up in the fuel lines, and I was like,
Yeah.
that
Well, I
is
mean,
scary.
that's a similar concept to like a car out
Mm.
on and you have a car, and it's got a carburetor on it. You can get carburetor ice when it's 100 degrees outside.
Mm.
It's because of the Venturi effect. As the air gets sucked into the channels, into the calibrated orifice there, the way that Bernoulli's principle works, you lose a lot of the temperature as the pressure changes, and poof, now you have ice.
So
And
crazy.
now your car runs a little bit differently, and you're like, I have ice on my carburetor. It's 100 degrees outside. Next, you're going to tell me I'm going to be in the middle of a snowstorm. This doesn't make any sense.
Right. Oh, that's really interesting, man. That's awesome though. And I don't want to pretend like I know a lot of stuff, because like when it comes to like mechanical stuff, I'm really not that knowledgeable at all. Like it takes a little, even with like CNC, like it took me a few years to like get to know a little bit about touching off tools and cutting material, what to run certain machines at to cut the steel or aluminum or whatever. But I mean, like, I'm not very mechanically inclined or whatever. I'm more creative than I am mechanically inclined. But I do find a lot of that stuff fascinating. I like learning about it. It usually takes me a little bit to understand a lot of it, but it's very cool though. That's awesome, man.
Oh,
Um,
it's wicked cool.
yeah. So where did you grow up?
Right here, actually, I was born in upstate New York.
Okay.
My father was in the military, and then we moved to Uncasville in
Okay.
Connecticut. And then in '91 we moved here to Groton, and we've been here pretty much ever since.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah,
you're by the Navy base then in Groton.
we're right down by Pfizer and EB
Gotcha.
is where I'm at, and we've been here since '91. So what, 29 years this year?
Oh, wow.
September?
Mm,
Yeah, 29 years. Yeah. '91 to 2020.
very cool.
Or no, not 2020. Sorry, this is the year after 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't say that anymore. We call it's the year that shall not be named.
Gotcha. Yeah, man.
It's the Voldemort of years. It all started for me. It all started when Neil Peart passed away in January.
Oh, it got real though yesterday with Chadwick Boseman, man. Like,
I
just out of
know.
nowhere.
And well, out of nowhere, it was kept in the dark, probably for
Yeah.
personal reasons, just like Neil Peart. Neil
Yep.
Peart's, brain cancer. Only the close circle knew he had anything going on. I mean, I knew he wasn't playing anymore because of his hands and severe, not injuries, but when you've been drumming for 45 years, your body's gonna give out eventually.
Yeah.
So I knew that was happening. I was like, oh yeah, they've said before this is our last tour, or this is the last music we're gonna do, but then they'd come out with something new. That's what I was waiting for, was something new. And then come January, I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess he had brain cancer and no one knew. Same thing with the gentleman that passed away recently. He had cancer and no one knew about it.
Yeah, he had
Produced all those movies.
I know he was diagnosed.
Amazing.
He was diagnosed with stage 3 back in 2016, and he still did all those Marvel movies, and nobody knew. And then I guess from what I was reading, it became stage 4. It was either earlier this year or late last year, and he just couldn't fight it anymore. So it's
That's
really
absolutely
tragic.
impressive. It's really a testament to how passionate you have to be about being creative or acting or doing something to just push through something like that and say, hey, you know what? Let's just like in Shawshank Redemption, get busy living or get busy dying.
Exactly. And
Exactly.
a lot of the good he did too. I mean, like, there's been photos popping up of him like visiting children's hospitals, visiting with cancer patients and stuff, and making sure that they felt special, and none of them knew that he was battling cancer himself too. It really shows what kind of hero and person he was. So Chadwick
Absolutely.
Chadwick Boseman, definitely rest in power, man. Rest in peace. You were definitely a king in my eyes. So but
Agreed.
it's
Agreed.
definitely very tragic. I'm actually working on a portrait piece right now. I was on my Twitch channel last night. I was working on a portrait of Chadwick. It's not quite done yet, but it will be done hopefully tonight. So we'll see.
Is this digital artwork?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool. Is this all done in Photoshop?
It is. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks, man. I rarely get to do any portraits anymore, but last night I was just like, I got to do something. So I feel the creativity juice is flowing, and let's just do something. So I started working on.
You use like a Wacom tablet?
I do.
Or some type of, you do?
Yep, I have
a Wacom Intuos right here.
Oh,
actually.
cool. I got my my Intuos right here, so it's a little dusty,
Very nice.
but but yeah, it works just fine. And I also have an iPad Pro that I use when I'm on the go, and so I'm actually using it right now to look at my notes. So
Oh, perfect. There you go. Yeah, I was a mouse user for doing photography for a very long time. And my daughter had gotten an Intuos a while ago for a birthday gift, and it just she couldn't she didn't like it. She's a drawer, she's an artist, and she likes drawing, but she likes the tangibility of paper and pencil and markers.
Yeah.
and the digital aspect of it, she just wasn't having fun with.
You know,
Um,
I get it. It was a big transition for me too because it was I was a tattoo apprentice years ago, and I had to stop because I had a back injury and I actually had surgery 7 years ago, and then on top of that I had carpal tunnel and had my hand worked on, so I can't hold a tattoo machine anymore to save my life. So I was, I was doing the artwork on pen and paper still every now and then, but then my friend Kevin Freer got me into digital, and it was just a huge transition. Like I was already familiar with Photoshop from being a tattoo apprentice, but not, you know digitally drawing or anything like that. It was more just photo manipulation, stuff like that I was doing. But actually do the digital art side of it was a big challenge for me at first, and it took a while for me to get good at it. Um, to the point where, well, I don't know. Let me see if I could screen share in here. I forget how to do that.
it's at the bottom of the screen. It's a green
yeah,
icon.
yeah, I gotta exit out of this real quick. Oh, share screen. There we go. All right, you see that?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
Thanks, man.
That's very cool.
Yeah, still
I
got a
like
long
it.
way to go, but that was
Yep,
3 hours of work last night.
it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Oh,
So,
the hardest part that I have, I did a 5 day drawing course recently that it was I saw as as a photographer you tend to accumulate a bunch of online digital photography friends
mm,
that you don't necessarily know in real life, or you have met maybe once at one event, um, or two events, and but you interact with them frequently online, and they're constantly sharing things. So I did. I want to say it was, I don't know, sometime between March and now. There was a 5 day type drawing course where it was like day one, let's do some rough sketching. This is how you should sketch. This is
mm,
settings that for your pencil or your digital pen, in order to sketch.
mm,
Day two, this is what you should do. Day three, we're going to do some blocking with color, but we're not going to blend it yet to make the actual skin tones until the following day. And then let's do some incredible detail for the eyes. Let's do the hair, et cetera, et cetera. Awesome, awesome stuff. But granted, I did the end result was not exactly what what you would think it would be if you
yeah.
were a professional, but it was pretty cool, and it was a good exercise to learn more about how the Wacom works. I mean, for photography retouching, a lot of times you may have to draw in hair, you know,
Mm,
like all the wispies that come off.
yep.
You don't want those wispies. You want because those are uncontrolled. So
Yeah.
you'll go in and you'll actually get rid of the actual outside of the hair and then put your own hair back in, depending upon the scope of the project. If it's a portrait of someone, you know, but it's just for personal use, and depending upon the level of retouching that needs to be done in an image like that, there's a I want to say there's a fine line, but there's definitely a difference between your retouching for family portraits or your retouching for editorial work or high
Mm,
end type products. If you have a, beauty salon, come and approach you to say, hey, let's do some photos of the hair work we've done, and you get some flyaways, and they're unattractive, unflattering, or hair that comes across the line. So you've got hair coming down this way normally, but then one hair is coming across like this.
mm,
You don't want this one hair. You want to get rid of that.
yeah.
So you got to go in there and manipulate all the different strands of hair, and knowing how to draw the hair, so important. It's but and so that little 5 day little practice was definitely good at, oh cool, this is how we can do this particular thing. It's
Mm.
pretty neat.
Yeah, it's definitely time consuming too, to like, finalize like all that detail too, whether it's photography or digital art or anything like that. I mean, like I just said, that was 3 hours of work last night for me, and I still got a long way to go. I haven't even started working on the Black Panther suit yet, but I still got tons of skin tone I need to like blend together correctly and make it look more realistic before I could work on that. But I mean, I'm like you said, it's the same with photography, with touch ups and making sure it looks professional and everything like that, like something you'd see out of a magazine. It takes time, and
Oh yeah, it takes time, it takes talent, it takes skills.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a bunch of trial and error. It's not something that you can. I mean, people don't wake up one morning and go, "Hey, you know what? I'm an expert at Photoshop and an expert at retouching." No.
I like to say I'm mediocre at Photoshop. There's people way better than me at Photoshop. But
Oh, of course, of course. I mean, the people who make the program, they've got to be better because
oh
they have to
yeah,
code all that
oh
stuff and
yeah,
make it work. You know, there's photographers I know that aren't necessarily the best at Photoshop, but that's because they do all their work in camera beforehand.
mm,
So when they get it into post processing and they bring it through Lightroom or Capture One, then they process their raw files, so they're adjusting their exposure or their saturations or clarity levels or whatever they happen to be doing, and then they take that file and they put it into Photoshop for any manipulations they have to do. So if it's like, well, for portrait work, because bottle photography or product photography is a different workflow. Because like the bottle photography I do is all composite work.
okay,
It's not one image. It's not poof. This is the image I took in the camera. It is um, completely. There was one. The last image I took. Nope. The one before that. It was some Old Forester whiskey and two glasses that had whiskey and rocks in it, and well against a backdrop, and like every piece was photographed differently
mm,
or separately. So the bottle was photographed but with its own lighting set up, and then the glasses were photographed differently, and then the backdrop even had its own lighting set up on it too. And then in Photoshop, you just integrate all those pieces together, and because your
yeah,
camera's on a tripod, it's super, super, super easy.
gotcha. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. I had to take. I was taking a digital design course, with the Art Institute, last year. I think I started in 2018. I was supposed to finish in June of 2019, but the school closed
Oh
three
no!
months before it finished. And yeah, so I'm glad I didn't have to pay anything back because the school shut down. But I did learn a lot more about Photoshop and Illustrator in the process. Illustrator is another program. Like I'm okay at Illustrator, but I have a lot more experience, I feel like, in Photoshop. Like I'm more comfortable in Photoshop than I am with Illustrator. But it's also like, now we're gonna get technical here. um we're talking about vector and rasterizing. Like there's two different things. Like vector files would be Illustrator, which can be blown up into like billboard size images without losing any sort of resolution or anything like that, whereas raster or RGB, or I forget, is Photoshop, where you have to know the exact size it needs to be. You also need to have your resolution set at the correct thing, or else it's going to look super distorted if it's blown up or size too small or something like that. So it
Oh
gets a
yeah.
little technical with stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I didn't know all that. Like going into it and everything, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then, it was also like, if I was designing merchandise or something, I'm like, why is the file not working? That's why. Like, so, but
Oh yeah.
I did do this one course when I was there, and we did a digital manipulation class where we had to make a terrible toy, and I somehow found a teddy bear that was lit on fire and then I gave it robot legs and like Lego arms or something. It was the weirdest freaking thing ever, and I made it work so well. My teacher was really impressed. He was like, "Wow, that came out really cool. I wouldn't give that to my kid." I'm like, "No, I wouldn't either." But
Yeah, it was. Let's see. Speaking about the difference between vector and raster images, I downloaded Inkscape, which is a freeware vector editing software. It's like Photoshop, or it's the Illustrator, but it's the freeware version.
gotcha.
Yeah. And so I downloaded that, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago or something like that. And I would create every year. I was making the birthday invites for my kids' birthdays in
Oh,
Inkscape. So, drawing things from scratch. I drew a disco floor room once, a dance hall because it was supposed to be like a music type
hmm,
birthday.
yeah,
So I drew speakers in the background, and I had a perspective point, and I drew all that stuff inside of Inkscape. And I was like, why is this different? I mean, I could do this in GIMP, because I had that as well. I didn't have Photoshop at the time.
Mm.
And then I learned, I was like, oh, okay. So when you make a circle in a vector program, the circle is not created because you're telling the program that this is where the circle is. The circle is created because the program says this is what the math is to make the circle. So when you zoom in on it all the way down to 2000% or whatever,
Yeah.
you still have a nice defined curve because it is based upon math.
Mm.
The raster images are based upon pixels.
Exactly.
So when you zoom in super far, you're left with a square.
Exactly. A bunch of
And so
squares that
a
somehow make a
bunch of
circle.
squares. So when you zoom out, and that's the big issue when you're doing composite work, at least for me. If you're doing composite work with, say, you photographed someone and you want to put them, you photographed them in your front room of your house with a flat gray backdrop, and you're like, you know what, let's put this person in a cave someplace in Switzerland, and you have a cave and you drop them in there. Their edge, that cutout edge around them, if you pixel peep and you zoom in all the way down, you might have some errors with your masking there.
Mm.
But what's the intent of the image? Is the intent of the image to see it from across the room where it doesn't really matter? Or is it the intent of the image that it's going to be blown up and pasted on the side of, a skyscraper in New York City?
Yeah.
At that point, yeah, let's go in and make sure that mask is 100% dead nuts perfect.
Yeah.
But if the intent is it's going to be, maybe just seen on digital, at that point, it's more about the story that you're telling than it is about, the technique or the technical, your ability to make a Photoshop mask. It's not about that. It's not about your retouching abilities necessarily. It's about the story you're trying to tell.
Exactly.
And then, especially if it's on something that's, an Instagram story that's there for 24 hours and it's gone forever.
Yeah.
People are going to go, wow, that's a cool picture. And then poof, they'll never look back at it again. So that's also a huge thing with social media and people being creative. You have to constantly make new content.
Yep.
Even if it's based on your own style or maybe something different, because you always, it's not like you can go, hey, look, I do these 5 different things. I've photographed aerialists as far as pole dancers or people who do trapeze or lyra hoop. Very, very cool stuff. Difficult to photograph because you just want to watch them, but I've photographed those. I've photographed, different types of highly saturated color gel portraits, bottle photography. So I have a couple different genres that I shoot, but sometimes it's not difficult to determine which one's better, but your audience likes certain different things. So some people go, oh, I like the beer shots. Those are cool. But then somebody else goes, no, I only like the composite work that he does with the portraits. But every day you have to put, as a creative in social media, every day you got to put out something. Not every day, but frequently you got to put something out. So that way you're in the algorithms and you're forcing that program to work for you. It's so hard.
I've been noticing that too, because like I put out content mainly on the weekends because, I got to work full time. I got bills to pay. I got rent to pay. And unfortunately my content creation is not paying my bills. So, just like every other struggling artist out there. But so, I get all my stuff out on the weekends between Twitch streaming, some gaming content, or it's my art content, or it's this podcast, which I put a lot of work into. But yeah, I totally hear you. Like the algorithms, like you constantly have to be pushing out new stuff, like either every day or every week, to maintain some sort of audience and to be able to bring in more people to your content. So, and I absolutely can't stand social media at all, like Facebook, Instagram, but they're tools. They're tools today that we all need for our businesses, et cetera. So they, you got to use them. So
No, I mean,
unfortunately,
back in the day when photographers were shooting film, they didn't have a place online to put their stuff and say, hey, look, I shot this. You
They
know,
had
they would
they had
have
binders or albums.
they had a printed portfolio that
Yep.
was specific to maybe the industry they wanted to get into. So they're like, I want to shoot, you know, maternity, or I
Hmm.
want to shoot newborns. I want to do this. So they would do the work and shoot those images. Right. Well, I mean, a little bit different for projects or being a photographer for normal regular people hiring you. Vice a commercial photographer. Commercial photographer, you're going to be knocking on doors. Hey, I'm a photographer. Look, this is what I took a picture of. Do you like it? Oh, you don't like it? Here, let me give you a copy, and then you can give me a call. All right, here's my phone number. And then
Yeah.
you go to the next business and the next business. You're basically looking
Handing out
for
business
someone
cards
to
and
hire you,
yeah.
handing out business cards, having a whole bunch of leave behinds when you have a meeting. You know, you drop a pamphlet on their table so they look at it a week from now, going, "Oh wow, cool." Cold calling them on the phone. Nowadays, it's digital, but also at the same time, it's probably pretty interesting when you show up someplace with a portfolio that's printed, saying, "Hey, look, I made this art and I
Yeah.
printed this art."
I have my portfolio on my iPad, so if I ever go for an interview, you know, it's just like bam, there it is. There's all my work right there. You know, check it out. You know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very good having it digital, but also at the same time, it's like if you have it digital, then if you have it digital and you have it, how can they see it later on? You know,
You gotta have
which
a
is
website too.
which you got to have a website too, but now
Yeah.
your website needs to be like cohesive, and you have to, I mean, that's the hub of creativity,
Yep.
and everything else has to point to it. I mean, basically that's what you need to have, but your website should also, I mean, right now websites are difficult because a lot of times people, you know, especially myself, I use Instagram more often than not to post an image. Hey, look,
Same
here's
here.
an image. You know, and then I'll drop it on Facebook. I have a Facebook page for my photography, but I don't use it that often because it's never seen.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really never seen. I mean, maybe once or twice or a couple times, but it doesn't
Yeah.
get the feedback
Yeah.
that I would want.
The
You know?
Facebook algorithms are weird, and Instagram being owned by Facebook is even weirder because like if you find the right hashtags to use, you can definitely get a bigger audience on Instagram. Like I found out that way through my Twitch streaming account. Because I've been getting more and more followers using the right hashtags and you
Yes,
know stuff like that. But
Instagram is
yeah,
definitely a hashtag
but
game.
it's totally different for Facebook because you know people may or may not be able to see your stuff, and then the only way they really can is if you pay for advertisement. And who the fuck wants to do that? You know, like
Oh,
I'm
nobody
not
does.
rolling in money, man. Like
Nobody does.
exactly. So
Exactly. Yep. And the thing is that they're paying your couple dollars or whatever for your Facebook ad.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just to depending upon your demographic and where you're at and who your target audience
yeah,
is your target audience really going to see that image? Are they really going to care? You know, you're going to
mm,
pay $10 so somebody can see your image that you took of, you know, a landscape outside.
yeah.
Is it any different than any other picture of a
Is it going
landscape
to get you
outside?
any business? Probably not. You
Is it
know.
going to get you any business? Is somebody out there going, hey, you know what? I've always wanted to hire somebody to take pictures of trees.
Yeah,
This guy takes pictures of trees. No, no, you know, that's a waste of $10.
yeah,
You know, you could spend that $10, add a little bit more to it, and print out a portfolio, and then go to some different agencies that sometimes use pictures of trees or pictures of whatever it is you photograph, and say, hey, how's it going? I'm a photographer. I do this. Here's this. If you ever need any work done, let me know, and
mm,
then move on, and
yeah,
give them some information so they can contact you. And they, I mean, a lot of times, like right now, especially right now, with how the world is, as far as the, you know, shoots aren't happening. You know, photography is not taking a back burner, but it's a completely different field right now. Your the photographer's mission right now, as far as telling stories and this and that, is really difficult for somebody to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to drop $1,000 on this guy or more. I mean, some projects, are $10,000-$20,000
Mm.
to have this guy come over here and photograph whatever my bar. No one's going to a bar right now.
No.
Depending upon where you're at, no one's going there. Why would someone spend those dollars to advertise for their bar right now?
Exactly.
The funds are just not there. I mean, granted, I've never photographed a bar, but I would, given the opportunity and I had the right tools and skills and the right team and everything like that. But as far as photographing things, I haven't photographed a person that wasn't already inside my house since January. No,
Wow.
February. February. Yeah, because I went to a concert over in London in February. Nope, Norwich. Sorry. And I was watching Casting Shadows and
Oh, nice.
Fear the Masses. Yep, they
Ah,
were
my
playing at the
boys.
same. Yeah, they were. Well, my cousin Douglas is in Fear the Masses, and
Oh, I didn't
my
know
good.
Doug was your cousin.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
He's been my cousin,
very
or he's
cool.
been my cousin. He is my cousin. Yeah.
Small
Well,
world.
yeah. Small world. Yeah. Yeah. He's been. Yeah, we've been close for years and years, forever. But yeah, so I was there supporting him and also Casting Shadows with my good friend Adam that I've known for 20-something years. He was performing there as well, and I had my camera, and I was like, sweet, let's take some pictures and stuff. It was a good time.
Nice.
And that was like the last real social interactivity I had. And then, a month later, or not even a month, like a couple weeks later, schools shut down, states shut down, and everything just went to hell.
I think the last time I went out and did anything social before the pandemic was, I'm sure you've heard of Crossing Rubicon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm friends with Scott and his wife Jeannie and stuff. I went to where Scott works because he's a bartender at this place. And I was going there on Fridays for a little while because, like, I started turning into a hermit for a little while, like staying home, not doing anything because I'm 33 and I'm just like, man, whatever. But I was like, I got to get out. I got to socialize. I got to do stuff because, like, I miss people, So
Yeah.
I start going out to hang out at his place because, it's usually got a good crowd over there. And I think Valentine's Day was the last time I went out. And then a couple weeks later, COVID started ramping up, and then the shutdown happened. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going back to being a hermit now. So, but yeah, that sucks. But I mean, like right now too, especially like some of these restaurants are opening again and letting people in. Some of these bars too, if they sell food, like, yeah, we'll serve you alcohol, but you got to buy food first. I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna stay home, other than going to work, and yeah. Even the gyms too. Like I got some workout equipment. I just bought an elliptical that should be here any day now. I'm gonna cancel my gym membership because I don't want to go to the gym and get sick. So
Oh, it's so super difficult.
yeah.
Because I mean, it's on the one hand, it's like the people that work at the bars or at a restaurant or at a nail salon or wherever they happen to work, that's their that's what they like to do. They like to be a bartender. Somebody doesn't, somebody's not a bartender out of, some people could be a bartender out of necessity, but they're typically those people who are in those fields, especially, hair salon or nail people, I guess. I don't know what.
Well, those are essential too. You know what I mean? Like,
those are essential type stuff.
Yeah.
But for a while, some of them were shut down or bars
Exactly.
were shut down and things like that. And it's like, at the same time, you want to go. Yeah, I like going to those places, and I like to go to the bar periodically, but I don't often go there. So, but at the same right now, it's like, we could go to the bar. I mean, I got an invite from a photo I posted from a distillery up in where is it? In Connecticut somewhere, and they offered me, hey, come on down and we'll have a free day at the distillery and we can do a taste testing and stuff. I was like, cool, that's awesome. Not right now. Not right now. Sorry. I mean, I don't know you. I don't know where you've been. I'll go to the grocery store because you have to go to the grocery store, but
yeah.
It's so hard because you want to be like, hey, let's do the things. I want to do all the things because all the things are fun. and good and happy. And at the same time, you're like, in the off chance that this were to happen, bad things were to happen, and you wouldn't want that to happen. So
Exactly.
let's
And
just
it,
err on the side of caution
yeah,
and play it safe for a little while. But at the same time, you're like, man, I really feel bad for that demographic of people where their jobs in those industries just aren't happening right now, or they are
exactly.
happening, but to a very, very low degree, to the point where the business owner is like, well, we can either pay rent or or get rid of this one employee, so that way we can pay rent and keep the other employees, because this employee, then that person doesn't have a job. And what
Yeah.
do they do? Very, very difficult. I mean, I don't have the answers for those things, you know?
I don't either. I mean, the whole situation is just so screwed right now,
Oh,
and
yeah,
like,
it sucks super hard.
yeah, and especially for venues too. I mean, like a lot of these venues are already closing their doors because they can't survive during the pandemic. I can't wait until they figure out a vaccine for all this, because like I think once everything's safe and things can kind of go back to normal, I mean, it's never going to be normal again, obviously, but I just can't wait to go back to shows and just see some
Oh,
live
yeah.
music again. I
I
just
mean, when
where though is going to be the question, because a lot of these places are already closing their doors. So
well, maybe it'll open up the opportunity for newer people to have something new or different, or maybe a different way of enjoying music
hmm,
and social interactivity. Not necessarily let's extreme social distance for the next 100 years,
yeah,
but something different. I mean, if medically speaking, if they have some type of novel treatment that could work, it'd be like, hey, you know what, this is how we can treat it. We've treated people like this, you know, and it works around. And you know what? When people get sick and they come into the hospital and we treat them this way, they get better. Poof, you're good to go. There's also not a whole lot of information known about the virus, so it's very,
exactly.
very, very tough. And it's tough for the medical community too, because science. I mean, sometimes the answer you have today is not the same answer you're going to have, 10 days from now. For the longest time, the ideas and the thoughts were that Earth was the center of everything. The the basically the Earth, the Terra-centric view, that Earth was in the middle of the solar system and everything revolved around the Earth. But then over time, it was heliocentric. Hey, wait a minute, no, we go around the sun. The sun stays put, and we go around that. Or there's other planets out there. No, that's bogus. You're a
Uh,
lie.
not
You know,
anymore.
that's not true. Now it's like, well, there definitely are other planets.
Yeah.
We've been there. Unless you're one of the people who thinks that the moon is real. You know.
What about all that information we're getting this year about UFOs and everything like that? Like the government coming out saying, "Yeah, they're real."
Well, there's a big difference between an unidentified flying object
Yeah,
and a spacecraft piloted by aliens from another part of the galaxy.
yeah,
There's a big difference, because you could quite literally, if I go outside and I see something in the sky and it's got flashing lights on it, it's flying by, that's unidentified. I don't know
yeah,
what it could be. A plane,
hmm,
it could be a cargo plane, it could be
yeah,
a piston plane. I don't know what kind of plane. It's unidentified.
yeah.
I can't identify it because I don't know what it is. Odds are it's a plane, a helicopter,
Yeah,
thus
yeah, yeah,
identifying it. But when you get down granular like that, as far as what is the, you know, what do you classify as identification? As far as that's plane, okay. Is it a plane from Pluto, or is it a plane from LAX, or is it a
yeah, yeah.
plane from JFK Airport? What type of a plane is it? Is that the identification, or is it quite literally, no, we have no idea what this is, but it's definitely from Earth, or is
I,
it?
I look,
You know?
I'm not a big UFO enthusiast, like aliens or anything like that. Like I don't want to pretend like I know what I'm talking about, because I really don't. But I mean, to think that we're actually alone in the universe, I really don't think we are. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be life out there somewhere, maybe that we don't know about yet. You know,
Uh,
it
yeah,
could be
I
possible.
would say that's possible,
Yeah,
but you have to. I mean, if you look at it from a different point of view. So when we take our telescopes and we zoom out, we look out, at whatever, a million light years from here, and we look at a galaxy a million light years away, and we're like, that's a million light years away. That means that the light from that galaxy is a million years old. So we're not looking at the galaxy right now. We're looking at what the galaxy looked like a million years ago. The galaxy right now could be completely different. If there's people or some type of civilization on that galaxy and they're looking at us a million years ago. A million years ago, we weren't here. So why would they ever go, hey, you know what? We're going to go to that galaxy. Let's go there. Well, why are we going to go there? I don't know. It seems like a good idea. They may, a million years from that light production, be able to look at us. Odds are, I mean, it's a really tough one. Unless they have some type of crazy advanced, or unless they're a civilization that is already intergalactic, or intergalactic is between galaxies. So a galactic galaxy, interplanetary galaxy. So they're already in our galaxy, and they're just around another star. So that makes a little bit more sense. That makes it easier to digest.
Yeah.
So now they're 100 light years away. So they're looking at us 100 years ago. 100 years ago was 1920. So, I mean, nobody's drinking booze because it's bootlegged. Women just got the ability to vote. We're just fresh out of a war. And they're like, you know what? These guys are really primitive. Let's not go visit because it's only 100 years ago.
Still kind of primitive.
Still kind of primitive now. You're absolutely right. As far as from a universal point of view, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
If there was another civilization out there in the universe and they were looking at us, they'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah, we're not even. We'll stop by and be like, we'll wiggle our wings. Hey, what's up? Weird civilization.
Yeah. Any extraterrestrials watching this podcast right now, don't come here right now. It's not great.
My goodness.
We're not having a good time right now.
that would be the best way to cap off 2020, honestly.
Just alien invasion.
No, just first contact. Man.
First contact.
Not even alien invasion. First contact. They come down. Hey guys, where are the aliens?
They just die from COVID.
Yeah, where's the? No. That's not what we want.
That's not. Go to shake their hand, they just fall over and die instantly. Oh, this man suffered from COVID. Fuck.
Oh no, that would be bad. That would be no, but that would be. It's tough. I mean,
you didn't wash your hands, Jim. God damn it.
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, that's funny. I like it. But at the same sense, I mean, we would just be put on their blacklist of, hey, let's not go to Earth anymore. Okay. Yeah. They're too busy just killing each other and us. So we're not going to stop by again, us, whatever we're from, whatever planet we're from. But I get it. I get it. That's a funny thing, And you're right. That would probably be exactly how it plays out.
Probably.
They land and be like, they die from something, and everyone would be like, oh, no, we killed the aliens. Yeah, we did.
Probably just breathing the air in general. It's just so bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, if they have some type of spacecraft that enables them to travel 100 light years quickly, then they probably have some type of, intelligence that dictates, let's wear like our own mask to breathe our own whatever air they breathe. Maybe it's liquid. I don't know. Maybe they breathe apple juice. That's possible, I guess.
That'd be cool.
It would be cool.
We're on such a tangent about aliens right now. I don't know how we got here, but this is usually how my podcast goes. We have cool conversations and they just go everywhere, and like that's cool, Oh,
it is cool. I mean, and that's also that's how the creative mind thinks. There's no you can't. There's quite often where I'm editing something and I'm like, hey, maybe I could do this way. So I'll try it that way and spend a while and then go, you know what? That didn't work. Let's start all over again, or let's you know what, let's just hide that layer, make a new layer, and try this other method to see if maybe that can get me what I want.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that'll work better. I'm like, you know what, that's great. But sometimes you have to go through those different motions from a, because the creative mind isn't exactly, one track. It can't be one track in a way, like we started this all up. I'm a percussion. I've been a drummer for 20 years.
I was just gonna bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a drummer for 20 years, and I also do photography and drumming. You're not. I know you could play the same beat over and over, Lars Ulrich, or
AC/DC.
you could. Granted, he is quite the accomplished, percussionist as far as what he drums matches the guitar work there is. Are there better drummers than him? Yes. Could they play the same thing that he does with Metallica? Maybe not. Buddy Rich would not be able to sit and play the same way with the same feel as Lars Ulrich.
Yeah.
But also Lars Ulrich would not be able to play what Buddy Rich does. Buddy Rich could, with one hand, he could play better than anybody else, because he's that good. But, being behind the kit, you've got several pieces in front of you, and you can translate that over to, photography editing or any other type of, for me, I can translate that easily to, photography editing. If I'm doing, say behind the kit, I'm playing some jazz piece, or I'm playing some type of metal piece, or my own type of, be like, hey, you know what, I want to play some jazz stuff. So here's a standard jazz beat, ding, 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 ding. Great, let's do that. But then also at the same time, I'm like, yeah, let's syncopate it. Let's throw in some double kick instead of the kick and the hats, or instead of playing, up here on the ride, let's play over here on the hi-hat. Each way is the same beat, but sounds different. And it has a different feel and a different shuffle and different accents here and there. Those are all important things for music. If you take that idea, I take those ideas and that thought process and apply it to my photography and my editing and go, you know what, this is the feel of this piece that I'm seeing. But if I took to create a curves layer and push the reds a little bit, or suck out the blues a little bit, now I have the same image, but it has a completely different feel to it, which is obvious. If you take an image and you make it black and white, it's going to have a different overall feel to it, and it's going to tell a different story. And as a musician and a photographer, both of them are trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
One way or the other. If you're a guitarist, you're telling a story through notes and through sound. Or a guitar solo, perfect example. You've got highs, you've got lows, you've got stuff that's fast, you've got stuff that's slow, you've got stuff that's just unplayable, but it still sounds great. And you're like, you know what, this is a great solo. It has all of the different words in it that you need. You can take that and apply that to the creative process that I use when I'm, setting up a photo shoot, or setting up, the way I'm going to go through my editing workflow. Be like, I want this image to tell a story about desolation, and be like, if this were to be a drum piece, what would that sound like? And sometimes back when my kit was available, right now I've been doing a lot of home projects. So my drum room has been, there's rubbish and stuff. I got to clean up the area down there. But back when I could get to the kit, I'd get back there sometimes and be like, I want to make this type of an image. How can I adapt that to maybe this drum or this? What would that feel like? But to me, internally, because when you've been playing for 20 something years on anything, the guitar, music, drums, violin, whatever it is,
yeah,
you can sense what you can create that feeling. Be like, you want to play a happy drum beat? Poof, here's the happy drum beat. You want to play something sad? Here's something sad. Easy. Sometimes I, get behind the kit and play the the feeling that I want, and be like, perfect, I've got the feeling. Now maybe I can do the editing, and I can absorb the feeling I got behind the kit and translate it to the computer digitally and be like, cool, now I have that same feeling. But you know what? If I turn off this black and white layer I just made in order to make the image black and white, now I have the opposite of that feeling. I have all the bright colors. I have the vibrancy that's there, and it's just one of those things. It's just so interesting to me because, like I said, I did start off, 7 or I was in 7th grade, halfway through 7th grade, and told my band instructor, I want to play drums. And he goes, why? I said, my brother's a drummer, my uncle's a drummer. We have his drum set at my house. I want to learn how to play drums. So I learned, through, we had practice a couple times a week, and practice was a practice pad with sticks, and we were doing snap ups, for like 20 minutes. That's all we were doing. Snap, 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 stick heights, counting, and then it was, okay, let's play a snare. Because now you've upgraded from the practice pad to a snare. And now you can play the drum kit. So into 8th grade, we had a concert, and it still sticks in my head because it was so, so cool. I was behind the kit. The jazz band was up the whole band was up on stage, and the chorus was down in front of them on risers. And we played like 3 songs, and I was the kit player for the whole thing.
Very cool.
It was amazing. It was the coolest experience ever. And then 9th grade, I met, some musicians in high school, and we joined up and, joined forces and started writing music, or not writing music, but playing music.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I learned how to play double bass on Metallica's song, The Four Horsemen.
Nice.
That's how I learned how to play it. Because before I had no idea. I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah.
I can't even think about how I'm supposed to use this drum because the wiring wasn't there. I was trained with right hand is right foot, left hand is left foot. So every time your right hand is going, it's connected with strings. That's how I was trained to play. And using my left foot on the bass drum to play other notes, that doesn't make any sense. But in order to say, hey, I want to keep playing, let's figure this all out, I had to reteach myself how to play.
Yeah.
With the double bass drum, and now it's just like, why would I never? I can't play. Now it's just like, oh, double bass, easy. Awesome. Now I can do it all the time. I can play, a variety of things. I'm a little rusty.
What bands were you a part of, if you don't mind me asking?
My high school band was with my buddy Adam and Ryan. We called ourselves Seraphis.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't remember ever like playing out anywhere other than a couple different local spots, but nothing too crazy. Mainly because we spent a lot of time just playing, but we didn't really go out to play anywhere. I don't know why. I don't know how that happened, but after high school, I tried to join up with a couple other bands, but like I went and I jammed out with this guy once, or maybe this guy and his friend once, and he was like, okay, so here's the music, here's the guitar, and I'm like, all right, cool, this is what I'm going to play for drums, right? So I'm playing my own drums because I'm the drummer, and we stopped playing after a bit, and he goes, oh, I don't know what you were doing with the snare there. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, it wasn't on 2 and 4. Okay, you're right, it wasn't. What do you mean? He's like, well, snares go on 2 and 4. No. I mean, yeah, but also no. You can put a snare wherever you want. You can put the hit, syncopation, and play off the music. That's how music is written.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get it. He could not get it. And I was like, all right, well, what happens if you're playing like 7/8? Where are you going to put the snare there? He's like, well, the snare goes on 2 and 4. 2 and 4 of what? 2 and 4 of 7/8? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? And no, he goes, well, what's the 7/8? So I play 7/8. He's like, yeah, I can't figure that out. All right, well, bye. See you later. Obviously, I mean, you might be a great guitarist, but maybe you're not an accomplished musician.
Yeah.
And then I tried to join a couple other groups, and I would play, and they're like, "Wow, you're really good." But then I'm like, "What are we gonna? Where's this gonna go from here?" You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
as far as musically, and and I wasn't getting the same chemistry as I was getting with other people that I played music with.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get that. It's perfect. It's magic. It's awesome. In the past, I've jammed out with Douglas, my cousin,
Mm.
and he'd be like, "All right, play something on your guitar, and I'm gonna play the drums. Just don't even tell me what it is you're playing. Just play something. I will follow along." And obviously that's what jamming is. But sometimes jamming moves. It's smooth. It changes. It modulates. And so I wasn't in. I don't think I've ever actually played on stage someplace like at a bar or anything like that. I don't remember ever doing that. I don't think I ever have.
Mm.
It was mainly just a hobby or let's play some drums, let's play some music.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
there's not.
As
But
long as you love doing it,
oh yeah, but then also, 15 years ago, got married,
Mm.
had kids. I got 3 of them. They're all girls. Sometimes it's a handful, but they're well behaved mostly.
Any of them get
Um,
your creativity?
yes, yeah. My oldest one, she sings.
Oh,
She draws.
cool.
Yeah, she sings very well. She
Very cool.
draws. She's very into, she draws a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really interesting things. My middle child, she picked up the drums for a little bit, but I don't know if she's sticking with it or not. It's very difficult. And it's not difficult, but it's last year she was supposed to have a big role in their spring concert. There was no spring concert.
Mm.
So, or just like my oldest, last year she had the lead role in Hairspray.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they couldn't perform the play because COVID struck and the play was supposed to be put on in May. So all of their practice and learning and stuff like that, it just couldn't happen. And my youngest, she's as creative as well. She'll sing songs, she'll draw pictures, a lot better than I would imagine her. She's 7. But yeah, they got a lot of the creativity from myself, my wife, really good stuff. My wife
Very
does
cool.
a lot of crafting stuff. She's a sewer, so she'll make quilts, she'll make outfits, she'll sew patches, all sorts of stuff. So she's picked up a lot of that stuff from them. And then as far as photography goes, was it how many years ago? Is it now 3, 4? I don't know. I was doing the Guitar Center. They every year October-ish time frame they have a go over there, play the drums, a competition type deal, drum off.
Oh, yeah.
Guitar Center drum off. Yeah. So I'd go over there and I'd play, and it was neat. It was an interesting, good experience. One year I came in like second of the store, so I got like something. I forget a tambourine that goes on your drum set. I was like, oh, that's cool. But I was like, this really isn't going anywhere because other people that were playing, they might not have played technically better than me, but the crowd liked it better. I was like, how is this being judged? Where's the finite line of just how are they separating the objectivity from the subjectivity of the judging, as opposed to, yep, you were supposed to play like this and you played like that. Good job, you get 10 points. As opposed to, you know what, I like the beat. Why? I don't know. I just do. I like it. 10 points. That's no. And I felt that's how it was going.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's cool. So like the next, I did it for a couple of years. The next year I was like, I'm not, it's not that important. And it wasn't at the time because there was other things happening, in life outside of music.
You ever think about being a studio drummer for like bands?
I thought about it.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but my thing is there's 2 types of doing studio drumming from my perspective. Type number 1 is, here's the sheet music, play it. This is what's written, play it. And I don't know. I can read music. I can play the music that's been written. It takes a while to read it and understand it in order to play it fluently, as though you wrote it yourself. Then the second way of studio drumming is, here's the music, write me a piece, play it, record it, and poof, you're done. And then that's it. You've played the piece, you've played the song, But then here's this. I played the song. You send it back, and then they go, no, we don't like this section here. Okay, you take the song back. Now you either play through the whole piece again so you can record it so there's no lapse or weirdness when you're recording. So you play through the whole piece again, but now you've played the first section slightly differently than you played it the last time. And they want something that's precise and perfect. Well, how there's software that exists right now where you can program the drums in with real live drum sounds, and you don't even need a drummer, you know. But for me, as far as studio drumming, it'd be difficult to get for me because it would take away from obviously doing the photography work, which I got a huge. I fractured my right ankle a couple years ago.
Oh.
I stepped off. I wish I had a better story, but I stepped off of a curb onto the road, and instead of hitting the road, my brain thought my foot needs to touch the road, which is how you would normally step off. You like step off, poof, I'm on the road. So I thought that's as far as I needed to go.
Yeah.
But I was stepping off into, you know, those water drainage ditches.
Oh God, yeah.
That bend down, and not like the grates, but the hole, like the valley.
Yeah.
That's what my foot stepped in. Oof. And I was thinking I was stepping on, so all my weight went on there, and my foot, here's my foot, went like this, whoop,
oh.
all the way to the side. I fell down. A friend of mine was up on the steps at work going, are you okay? I'm hobbling across the street going, I think so. But then a little bit later, my ankle was like, plop, huge. I'm like, this is no good.
Yeah.
I had ice on it. I'm like, I got to go to the doctors. So I get in the car, and I drive to the doctors. Difficult to do. And they're like, yeah, it's fractured pretty bad. I was like, wow, that sucks. So I didn't get a cast or surgery or anything like that. I had an air cast on it, which was like, I'm sure you know what it is. It's like a splint, like a glorified splint. Yeah. And I said, this is what you got to have, and you got to stay off of it. And so I couldn't drum for a couple months, longer than that, actually. I could not, I couldn't even think about it. I couldn't even think, okay, let's go downstairs and drum, because I was doing it often beforehand. I was, every couple of weeks I go downstairs and rock something out, pop in some Rush and just play, pop in some Nevermore or something. But I couldn't drum at all. I was like, this is not a good thing. I can't get behind the kit and play. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
So is this how you started photography?
I had been interested in photography before.
Okay.
I've used, my father had a Canon AE1 program, film camera. It was an advanced film camera for when it was purchased. And I learned a lot of, I didn't learn a lot about photography at that point with that camera, but I did take a lot of pictures with it.
Okay.
And then from there, I had several different, here's a Kodak, point and shoot digital camera, or here's this other camera. So I generally took a lot of photos. I got, I want to say 10, 11, 12 years ago or so, I got a Canon Rebel XT digital camera, which was like super fancy camera at the time. I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is a step up from anything else.
Yeah.
So I use that often and take a lot of photos with it, but I was interested in it enough to say, I have a camera, I have lenses, I'm taking pictures with it. But then when I couldn't play the drums anymore and I had no outlet, like, for the creativity, I was like, what am I going to do? I can't play drums right now. I happened to see there was a local, what was it? It's like a photography like show type deal. It was down at Fort Griswold in Groton, and I guess they do it every year now. And it was, we're gonna put up your print about this, and we're gonna sell it or whatever. That's what it was for. It was like a gallery, and you could put there was no submission fees, no nothing. It was just submit your piece. If they liked it, they hung it up, and maybe it'll sell. That was the intent. Okay, cool. Let's try that. So I grabbed some photos I had already, and I opened them up in some crappy software, and I made a piece. And it was a picture of the sunset down at Eastern Point Beach, and in the water was this was a composite show. It was 3 photos in one. And so it was the sunset, and then in the water was subdued looking tombstones from Arlington National Cemetery underneath the water. And
Huh.
then in the clouds was every 4th of July, Groton has the the flag bearers with all of the lost subs, lost submarines.
Gotcha.
They were up in the sky, subdued, kind of cut out and stylistically placed up there. And it kind of worked out because the lines of the clouds in the sky lined up with everything. And I was like, oh, this is really cool, cool piece. And I called the whole piece, I called the piece Eternal Patrol. And I was like, that's cool because, those subs are lost. My father was a submariner,
Yeah.
important piece, So I printed it out at Walgreens. Horrible place to print photos. Don't print photos at
Yeah.
Walgreens or CVS or Costco or Walmart or any place
Buy a
that you
printer.
can't look at. If you buy a printer, you better buy the right kind of printer.
Yeah. Or go to an actual print shop itself.
Go to an actual real life print shop that has calibrated equipment and blah blah. There's a whole there. You could spend a whole week talking about how to print photos.
Yeah.
But for regular consumers and you just want a picture of something, great. I didn't know this at the time, but like I said, Walgreens is not the best place. I know that now.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, oh, printing a picture is printing a picture, right? No, it's not.
No.
But at the time it was. So I went down there, I printed it, and I got it printed out, I framed it up, and I brought it down there and submitted it, and it sold. I was like, twice. It sold 2 times. So I had to print out the picture again and frame it again and stuff and deliver it to the next person for $100 a piece. I mean, $200 off one picture. And I was like, what? What did I actually do to do that? That's why I looked back at it and I was like, okay, I had 3 pictures and I took the picture of the sunset because I was just getting used to my camera again and taking pictures. So I took the picture of the sunset because it was cool. Cool sunset. Awesome. I took the picture of Arlington National Cemetery because what else are you going to do in Arlington National Cemetery other than take pictures?
Yeah.
So to prove that you were there, 10 years from now, you can say, I see this picture. I was there.
Yeah.
Okay. And the 4th of July parade, we take pictures all the time because we sometimes years ago, either my father or my mother couldn't make it to the parade. So we go back with the camera, plug it into the TV, and scroll through all the pictures. So it was like we had the parade twice. So, all right, cool. We've got those pictures there. Awesome. I was like, and all I did was just kind of put them together in a collage type deal. I mean, I would do it way different now as far as the editing is concerned.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't really do much for this. Is there more to this? And so while I was laid up and I couldn't do much, I read through and the depression was hitting in because I couldn't play the drums. I was like, but that was a high point. I was like, I did something creative and I felt really good about it. Let's see if we can do something. Let's see, how can I do this better? How can I do this differently or more?
Yeah.
And I found a place online called Strobist. It's a blog about using speed lights, off-camera flash to take photographs. And I read through every single post that this gentleman had put on this blog for like 7 or 8 years. Every single post he put. And I was like, wow. So I went and I bought some stuff. And I found a different photographer out of England, Jake Hicks, that photographs. He uses highly saturated gel. So instead of regular lights, it's like blue, teal, orange, red, pinks, high saturation. And that's what he uses to photograph people. And I was like, that is cool. So I bought his gel set and practiced with that. And then, I found a great online community, Pro EDU, they're formerly known as RGG EDU. They're based out of St. Louis. And I found them online, and that's where they make photography tutorials with the working pros. So the guy who's teaching you, hey, this is how to photograph real estate, is a guy that photographs real estate. That's what he does for his job every day. And he says, this is exactly how I do it. Awesome stuff. Super, super great content. And so I picked up a couple tutorials from there and learned some things. And I was like, hey, let's go shoot and, now, but right now I can't. I'm not photographing people.
Yeah.
But in the past couple of years, I've photographed live concerts just because I'm there. I wasn't hired to do it, but I have been hired to. I photographed an aerialist competition once. That was pretty cool. That was so many pickups. I think 400 pictures delivered at the end of it.
Wow.
It was a lot of work. I photographed different beer stuff, not for my own, just practice. Pole dancers, different things like that. Pretty cool stuff. But it's really in our area for me that I found out that the area is super saturated with people with cameras.
Yeah.
Not as far as they're photographers, but people with cameras. And because if there's a certain amount of money that a photographer or a retoucher has to charge in order to be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
In order for the business to actually work. So if you have so many days per year you can actually shoot, and then you do the math for what you need to make at the end of the year to break even, and then you add in your profit, the people that just have a camera are sucking the life out of the professionals that need to charge $1,000 for a shoot. And they're
that's like with everything too. You know what I mean?
Just it totally is. It totally is.
And just to touch a little bit on what you were talking about before about like creativity, helping with mental, because we got to bring this to a close pretty soon. We're running over an hour and 15 minutes already. Yeah, it's all good. No, it's all good. I don't mind. But just to touch on like creativity and stuff, like I was going through it myself when I was out on injury for a back injury and my spinal injury and stuff. I was, just super like depressed. Like, what am I going to do with my time? I'm not working, like I can't do anything. And then I ended up finding a band that was in the red. And then I turned into their singer for almost 4 years. So that's where I spent most of my time. And then I had my surgery. And then I found more creative passions that I was into, which was learning to video edit and learning to draw more digitally and everything like that. And now I don't need music as much anymore. Don't get me wrong. I still love music and I eventually want to get back into it. But right now I've got other creative things, keeping the juices flowing and everything to keep me out of my own head from the daily grind of working. You know what I mean? So like,
you have to have an outlet, whatever it happens to be. If it's music, if it's pottery, if it's poetry, if you enjoy cross stitch or knitting, whatever it is, it's a way to channel those forces that sometimes work against you or work for you, whether they're internal or external, whatever those factors happen to be. Having something to channel those feelings or those different stories is so important, and that's what drumming was for me. That's the easiest and most perfect way to channel those ideas and those feelings, because you have so many different voices at your disposal.
Exactly.
The snare feels and sounds a certain way. The bass drum has a different voice to it. The crashes and splashes of China is you can play it really hard. You can hit it so hard it doesn't break. You break your stick, and you're like, yeah, let's do it again.
That's such a perfect way to describe the drums too. That's really a perfect way.
There's so many voices. I could go on and on and on about the philosophy behind drums and how important they are, not only to the song but to the drummer, to the crowd. If you have a mediocre band and a really good drummer, you have a really good band. That's what they're going to hear. They're going to hear the drums. If you have a mediocre band and a mediocre drummer, you have a mediocre band.
Yeah.
If you have a mediocre band and a crappy drummer, you have a crappy band.
Yeah.
I don't care how good the other musicians are. If your drummer if he can't play on time, if he's always ahead or always rushing or always slow, or he plays rides the China cymbal at the wrong time or crashes at the wrong time or doesn't do it incorrect or does everything incorrectly based off of experience with music, then you're just like, man, that's not a very good band. I could go on and on and on about that.
But for listeners out there that might be struggling right now with quarantine and everything, like now is the time to I've said it before and again on the show, like definitely like find what you're good at, like creatively, whether like we said, knitting or painting or singing or music or anything like that. Like find your passion and do that. Now's the best time more than ever, because a lot of people have nothing but free time now to
Oh
work
yeah,
on
and
these creative outlets and stuff like that. And you might find that it actually helps fight this depression that you may be going through, because
there's plenty of
creativity helps me whenever I'm depressed. If I'm not doing anything creative, I get super depressed. So
and then there's plenty of stuff online that plenty of resources available to learn different skills, learn different hobbies, learn something new. Be like, you've
exactly.
always wanted to learn how to play the dulcimer, go buy one. Go. I mean, it's a little, maybe a little advanced, but it's wanted to bake a cake. Just go bake a cake.
Bake
Let's
that
go do
cake, yeah.
something new and different.
Exactly. So let's talk about any future plans for you down the road. Like once things calm down a little bit, like
Future plans. Back in late March, I had plans to start a photo projects tribute to Neil Peart.
Oh,
Yes, it was going to be based off of their last album called Clockwork Angels, and that's what the photographs were going to be of. 12 different sets all put together with a culminating final image. But I couldn't start it because COVID was in the way.
yeah.
But that's a future plan, maybe next year, maybe the year after, or whatever. There's some plans and there's some stuff I have to put the final pieces together for in order to shoot that. But once I have all of the background stuff set for it, then poof, I can go off running. Other, photography wise, I'm doing some more beverage and beer shots, some more booze shots. They're cool to do because they take it, it's just you. It's just me. I don't have to worry about other people.
Exactly.
The camera or the beer bottle doesn't talk back or say, I don't want to smile or something, but, so that's cool. I'd like to get back out there and photograph people, but just right now, I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be different if that's what brought the money in for me, then I'd be like, all right, let me figure out how to do this safely and effectively, efficiently, and also make money. But I have a day job that supports, everything.
Yeah.
And photography is really like a second thing. I'd love to do it full time. Absolutely. That would be a blast, be my own boss, et cetera, all that fun stuff that goes with it and the stressful stuff that goes on top of it. But, that it would be amazing. It would be so super cool. But right now it's not, effective or applicable, but that's future stuff. I do have a photo project that I do have some props for relating to COVID-19. So,
Oh.
yeah,
Okay.
it should be. There's a couple shots in there, a couple ideas that I think would be funny. Something different. I've got a plague mask, is what I have. Actually,
Nice.
I think it's over there, but I can't. It's buried underneath some stuff on the table. But
Nice.
it's a plague mask. One of the ones with it's
Yep.
leather and it's got the eyes
Yep.
and it's got the peak
That's
nose.
that's what Rubicon has for their new album cover, and the latest lyric video.
Nice.
The latest lyric video that they put out, I did for them, has a plague doctor in it. So
Oh wow,
yeah.
very
So
good. Yeah, that's the. I have that in the works. I had some props I have to develop. I have to make or modify something that exists. But hopefully I can shoot that in the next couple weeks and get some of those images out, because I'm like, I want to tell those stories before certain things in the world happen. So,
gotcha.
certain different events. But yeah, that's something in the works. Cool stuff.
Cool. So where can everybody find you?
I'm on Instagram at DSPhoto1985. I'm on Facebook at Dave Schick Photography. I don't Instagram more than Facebook. I'm on Twitter as well, DSPhoto1985. I don't necessarily post a lot of photography stuff there. I'm mainly following science people. The science yeah, that's where I get all my science and news and things like that, and different other creative people I follow there too. I do have a website, daveschickphotography.com, but I have to develop it more or just make it better. because I've had it for a while and I haven't really made it good. Just other things. I mean, full-time job, trying to take care of kids, COVID, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. You know, it's like, okay, cool. When do I have time to work on this website? It's not that important. You know, but it is important. It is important. You know, that's the central hub. But yeah, that's where you can find me online. It's, you know, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and my website, daveschickphotography.com.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, yeah, definitely everybody go check out Dave Schick over here and check out his work. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Thank you. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to get notified every time we drop a new video. You can also subscribe to the show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts because it helps us stand out in a sea of billions of other podcasts. So a 5-star rating would be appreciated. Leave a review, and I'd be happy to read it on the show. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast to stay up to date with everything going on with the show right now. I've got like 8 guests lined up for future episodes, so we're going to be cranking them out. It's going to be very busy for me, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just going to be super busy for me for the next few weeks, but a good busy. You can check out our merch. We have merch now. I've been forgetting to tell people about that for the last 3 weeks because I'm just super tired. We have merch available on TeePublic. Link below. Click on that link. You could get t-shirts, mugs, stickers, magnets, phone cases, masks. Because we still need masks right now. You can get masks there. Customize them however you want with the Roads We Travel logo on it. And anything that you purchase goes to support the show. So definitely get some merch today. Yeah, check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming. Like I was saying earlier, I do some gaming with friends. Dave's cousin Doug in particular, we do a lot of gaming together. We also do art streams and stuff like that. Yeah, check out my portfolio at www.alanmpelletierjr.com. Hit me up for commission work, art pieces, video work, anything you guys need. I'd be happy to help you out. Dave, this has been awesome, man. I definitely learned a lot more about photography and the technical aspects of like Photoshop and stuff too, learning a little bit more about it from you and getting to hear about the aviation stuff too was very interesting too. So I definitely want to have you come back on the show sometime if you're interested.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this was great, man. I
Sure.
just want to say thank you again for being a guest and traveling down this road with us today. So, all right, brother, you take care. Okay.
You as well.
Bye.